today's guest. We are closing out the college edition series that the next step and Heavy Sounds Lab have been doing. It's been really great to be able to hear from Ryan and Malachi and Kristen and Tamiko. And now today we have Jason, and it's just been an amazing week. And today we are going to be talking about entrepreneurship. So if you are excited for today's session, I hope you guys are ready to listen to some gems that's going to be dropped, but also making sure that, interacting and engaging. So you guys need to like drop a fire emoji if you guys have been feeling this series lately, just so we know how you guys are. So Jason, how are you feeling today? Happy Friday. We are at the end of the week.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Like how's everything going?
I feel good, like you said. I want to definitely say, thank you and shout everyone that came all through this week in the conversations and the talks before me. I tuned in.
Yeah.
Excuse me, like you said, Tamiko, Malachi, Ryan, Kirsten, all great conversations, so I'm just happy to be here on this Friday and to close this out with you.
Yes. So, as you guys know, for today's college edition workshop series, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. But for myself, as being a host, I definitely want to make sure that I introduce Jason correctly. For those who are not familiar with Jason's work, Jason is truly at the intersection of art, function, and sweat equity. He really makes everything mesh all together. Currently, he's the founder of Grand Hustle. He also is the founder of Heavy Sounds Lab, co-founder of Aku, also of Hustle Gang Brand, producer of the film Takers, and also advisor to several multimedia artists. And within that, Jason kind of does it all. Now, even when looking in the digital space, Heavy Sounds Lab has been the solution for music industry and executives and producers for them to be able to mesh the digital space and using that with music. And I know that he is expanding his Heavy crew. So college students, if you are interested in joining, please make sure to follow Heavy Sounds Lab and become part of their crew and tune into their weekly talks as well. So one thing I want to focus on, Jason, and when we talk about entrepreneurship, I want to kind of frame the question a little bit differently. So now being in the time that we're in and really focusing on the Black dollar, what does entrepreneurship look to you? Because it would look very different for yourself as an entrepreneur, having your hands in many different things versus, our different counterparts. So just with everything going on in our world today, like how does that affect your entrepreneurship or ventures and things that you're interested in taking part of?
Man, it's interesting because I've been having this conversation, right? Obviously, you got the record out for the on your promo entrepreneur, and the conversation has been, it's been a lot of conversations around that term entrepreneur. You know, um, Earlier today, someone said to me, "Hey, entrepreneur is like the new thing." And I'm like, really? Like how? And I definitely understood the points. Like, people talking about the world and now the new normal and post pandemic, and everyone pretty much kind of having more freedom than ever in a sense, right? Like people
Yep.
who were normally, in an office, now they're able to actually work out of their homes, and now with freedom comes creativity, right? Like so now you have people that'll be trying to multitask and work on multiple things, so now it's opportunity for to breed entrepreneurship. So I think that's one thing in today. And excuse me, but for me, honestly, it's no different. I feel like, of course, you have to always figure out where your audience is at and be, in those locations, right? Where you can gain audience. But for me personally, I've been an entrepreneur my entire adulthood, so I've had that at this point I'm like it's kind of like I'm calloused, I'm numb in a sense, right? Like just being that this is all that I know, you know. So for me, I've always been accustomed to, when people are excited and celebrating because they're getting income tax returns. I've
Yeah.
always been that person that's like, that don't mean nothing to me. I'm gonna pay some money out in a second.
Okay.
So I've always had that experience and just that reality that you start the year January 1,
Yeah.
boom, it's at zero. It's no guarantees. As an entrepreneur, the kind of entrepreneur that I am, I
Okay.
eat what I kill. So it's literally like it's like a archaic sport in a sense, right? It's like going out and hunting. Like, yo, you literally eat what you kill, but you also realize that, yo, I got to develop a team. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
what I kill, now I need to like when I kill this, when I bring it home, who's gonna clean it? Who's gonna cut it, who's
Yeah.
gonna cook it, who's gonna help prepare it, because for real, if I eat what I kill, I gotta kill and I gotta hurry up and I can't try to do everything because now, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just
Mhm.
not playing to the smartest of my ability, and I think like, when you have the hunter's mentality and you study like, things of that nature, like, yo, people start having hunting teams and hunting
Yep.
zones and and now really collaborating and working together, So to me, I'm super interested and I'm excited to see like, during this pandemic that now more people are coming to this understanding that, hey, you know what? Maybe I should try to create something of my own, something that I can't fire myself from, I can't lay myself off from, I can't furlough
Yeah.
myself from, you know, and people just really trying to figure those things out. But I think that it's an exciting time. I think, of course, when you're an entrepreneur, you're more in control of your destiny,
Okay.
I also think that it's important for people to understand that there's so many different ways to get to entrepreneurship. It's not
Okay.
just one, it's not just
One
one,
way.
yeah, it's not just one way. And so often I feel like I see a lot of people like, hey, you know what? I just graduated school or I just decided to do this and now I'm
Yeah.
an entrepreneur and I'm gonna pop up my own business and this is what I'm doing
Okay.
versus like, yo, you know what? I actually worked at this job in this industry for some years to get some insight, to get some knowledge, to get some relationships. And then I strategically shifted into my own business and now I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
I
So
see.
yeah, so I think that, like that's the part that a lot of people kind of, cut out because a lot of times it sounds sexy, it sounds fly. I'm an entrepreneur, I work for myself, boom, boom, boom. But how much money you making?
Wow.
Really
I
ready
think
for that. Huh?
yes. I
Mhm.
think that is a great point, and something that I want to touch on as well, especially for our, our young hustlers and grinders who are on this call today. Because
Yeah.
when we think about entrepreneurship and especially income, I know that now with like the overwhelming information that we're able to get now to be entrepreneurs, a lot of the times when you're looking at the average millionaire or someone who is making over six figures, which is the aim for everyone, we're known to really see about having diversifying your income. So whether that may be earned income, profit income, interest income, royalty income. Something I wanted to, point back to you as you are pivoting in the digital space, especially with Heavy Sounds Lab, with being a producer, with being a manager, with also being in film. Can you talk more about royalties? Because I know that a lot of the time when people are looking at investing, people don't look into discography of like, investing in music and royalties and what that could look like for an artist. Because I know like, legendary artists like Michael Jackson getting royalties in a song like from a Billie Jean album, you're still making residual income off of that. So I would love for you to touch more about that aspect.
I mean, royalties is, typically, that's how you break down a record, right? Of course, you start off with 100%, and now if whoever does the music, the production of the record gets 50%,
Okay.
publishing and the writer, half is another 50%,
Okay.
So you have, of course, royalties on records, which are pretty much predominantly broken down to the writers of the records, so that's
Okay.
mostly the creatives, and that's back to why a lot of times people say, of course, your publishing is so important. Your publishing is
Mm,
so valuable. It's really hard and it's really tough. Like with Heavy Sound Labs, for an example, right? I don't like I've never in my history as a business owner, even
yeah.
with my hustle, I've never signed an artist and upon them signing the agreement, they're also agreeing to give up 50% of their publishing, you know.
Okay. So no 360 deals on your end.
Nah, no 360 deals, and a 360 deal is very debatable though. Like that's another thing
Okay.
that's very kind of 360 deals have like a bad rep, but
Yeah,
Jay-Z has a 360 deal. You know what I'm saying? So like it
I didn't
just
know that.
depends. I mean, Rock Nation, Live Nation,
Ah, I
touring,
see.
the releases of your music, other things of that nature, in a sense, they're in business in a holistic way, you know? So that's
Okay.
just like, but if someone wanted to be objective, they could say, hey, that's like a 360 deal. And they're right in a lot of ways. So to me, I think that I was definitely around when 360 deals were kind of brought about, you know. And I was approached by Atlantic Records to do 360 deals. And the traditional 360 deals are kind of like, hey, you know what? We're gonna grab up all of the rights, we're gonna hold all of the rights, and we have you. So record labels logic was I'm invested in you. Really, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go all the way back for real. When 360 deals people first started talking about 360 deals, it
Okay.
was around like groups like B2K back in the day,
Okay.
B2K. So if like those groups, they were like touring like crazy, getting a lot of money from touring, but they really weren't selling a lot of records for it. You know what I'm saying? So they may be going gold or something like that, but the record label's investing all of this money, and they're like, hold up, look at the ancillary business that's happening that we're not participating off of,
I
A
see.
lot of that thought process was like, yo, if I'm spending X amount of dollars and now, boom, I'm only in business with you with the sale of the record. Now you go over here
Mhm.
and do this commercial and this and that and this and that, but the records don't even give me a great return on my investment. We're gonna have to
Okay.
do something here. I'm gonna stop investing so much money in your records, which will stop you from getting all this other stuff, or we can work together and now ride in the same car. And now I feel better about investing this bread. So that was really like the original mentality. And of course,
Okay.
now whoever is the chef kind of controls the recipe in a sense, right? So now sometimes you got 360 deals in the hands of people who I'm just holding all your rights and I'm not really doing anything. But when somebody
Mm.
wants you, come holler at me. I got the rights for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was a bad thing in that sense. But that's just why I say like every deal is different. But back, what was your original question? You asked me something and we started talking about 360 and I kind of just trailed off a little bit.
Oh yes, we did talk about 360 deals, but I was just talking more about like seven income streams and how royalties can kind of be
Right,
a part of that, aside
right,
from the earned income that you're making. So I just wanted
right.
you to kind of touch more on that,
Yeah,
especially the work that you're doing with Heavy Sounds Lab.
absolutely. And I was talking about publishing and I was telling everyone how, for me, I do not take publishing for without compensation and things of that nature you know
Okay.
I personally feel like an artist should maintain the ownership of their publishing, um at least if nothing else until later on in life. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, real talk, a lot of people, you hear these stories about, you heard the Puff story with Puff and Mace, how
Mm.
allegedly, well, according to Mace, he did a deal with Puff very early on in Solar's publishing. So, that's something that has been standard, right? And in
Yeah,
business, when an artist is broke and don't really know a lot, you can't see publishing because it's like it's the future.
I see.
That's truly what publishing is, right? If you do a deal with a publishing company, and let's just say they say, hey, you know what, we're doing this deal for I'm gonna advance you X amount of dollars, and now I want 50 songs. You know,
Mm.
50 songs or 10 songs or however many songs they want. A song is 100%.
I
And now
see.
you may only be contributing 20% of a song. You
I
feel what
see.
I'm saying? So it's like, it could take quite a while to equate to X amount of songs that you have to deliver, you know? Um, so to me, I think that every artist, at the right time, you should do an administrative deal, but not
Okay.
necessarily a publishing deal. Now, if an artist signs to and partners with Heavy Sound Labs, what we have in our agreement is a first right, a matching right, for
Okay.
publishing. So that means that, hey, if you're with Heavy Sound Labs and we're working and you're artist James Brown and you blow up,
Mhm.
back to the same thought, right? Because of the work that we
Yeah.
did together, because I'm getting in business with early stage artists. So now if I take you from 5,000 social media followers, very low numbers, and grow this value, help you grow this value. And
Mm-hmm.
and at the point of time that an artist says, hey, you know what, I want to go and do a publishing deal. So to me, it's like, hey, you know what? If that's what you want to do, I'm always give you the information, the pros and the cons. But if that's what you want to do, and you go out and get a publishing deal offer, bring that offer back to me. And if I can match it, we'll do the deals together. If I can't match it, have fun. So if somebody says, hey, such and such offer me $10 for a publishing deal. And if I can say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about that. I got $10. Let's do the deal. If I don't have $10, or if I feel like the deal's not worth $10, hey, God bless you. More power to you. But truthfully, I feel like artists should maintain ownership of their publishing for as long
Yeah.
as they can, especially when you're coming up. Because like now you look at the space of publishing, and you think about these companies that are doing deals. I just saw RZA did a deal for, I believe, like 50% of his catalog. And imagine
Mhm.
RZA, it's a lot of catalog, right? This dude,
Yeah, it is.
Wu Tang, had these individual solo albums. Like, I think it might have been like 800 songs or something. He's done movies, a lot of catalog, Timberland, he did a deal with a company not too long ago, whereas he did a deal for some of his publishing. So to me, I feel like if you're going to, make a deal of your publishing, like,
Mhm.
let that value swell up. Create the value. Don't do it
I
because
see.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, don't do a deal when you're young because you want a chain or you want a car or some dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, do
Think
it like
about the
later.
future with
Yeah, you
that.
know what I'm saying? Think about the future, and like music is ups and downs, right? That's just everyone's gonna have their peak. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, I think that people should really kind of, in music, we don't necessarily have 401ks and things of that nature, unless you go out and create your own independent 401k, which I recommend everyone to do. But to me, as an artist, that's like a 401k in a sense, right? Like, yo, if you want to
Okay.
cut a deal and Timberland or the RZA, these guys at this point in their careers, I'm not mad at that
Mhm.
so much for real. At least you're educated, you know what you're getting into, and at least you
Mhm.
created some real dollars, like, some millions of dollars to actually
Build
do a
that up.
deal with, versus, yo, I sold half my publishing for $25,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just
Or
like
especially
that's
early
like
on in your career too.
absolutely early on, it's not worth much. So I mean, how much
Yeah.
can somebody really give you for real? Because publishing is, once again, betting on the future in a lot of ways. Some ways you say it's money that's in the pipeline, but for new artists and you don't have music out there, for the most part, it's really betting on the future, which is hard to do for real.
So it's interesting that you kind of mentioned about betting on the future, and with your experience kind of being in the music industry, it's kind of similar to when you're trading stocks in a sense, because you don't necessarily know what stocks and how the seasons are going to look like. And when you're investing, it's really just based on either the history of how that stock has been doing, or, people who are really experienced in the field and, with their expertise on kind of like betting on if it's really going to hit or not.
Yep.
So I want to transition over from music and kind of to your other ventures. So I know that you've also dabbled in fashion with Aku, and you've also done things as well with film. So
Sorry
when
about
you're taking, no problem.
that.
So I guess I'll just finish the question, and then when Jason comes back, he'll answer.
I'm
So
listening.
when
I'm listening. It was dark in there.
no problem. So when thinking about dabbling into your different ventures like music and film, where it's not as predictable as and not music, fashion, television, how do you kind of predict when a project's going to be worth you kind of investing in? Like, what does that process look like for you as well, especially when something may not be your main expertise? Like, how do entrepreneurs kind of branch out from something that's really their niche?
Well, I mean, really, that's the key, right? Like,
Mhm.
when I say I'm an entrepreneur, um, and then when I go a little further and I say that I'm a serial entrepreneur. So for me, I like building things. I like starting businesses and building brands, right? Be it a brand, standalone brand, or be it an artist. I get the rush out of building something new, and that's really what excites me. You know. But excuse me, truly, what makes the difference now between someone trying to do a lot of things, and once
Yeah.
again, like, a lot of people go, yeah, you trying to do a lot of stuff, but like you said, when we talk numbers, like, how's that working out for you? financially, not just talk wise, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that the difference and what sets people aside between the people that can really do a bunch of things and have success with, is for real. It's your strategy and your approach,
Okay.
So for me, I do a ton of research,
Research is
do a ton of
important.
research. Research is important. Everyone, I'll recommend a book called Deep Work.
Okay.
That book it shows you, strategy on how to dive in. So
Mm.
you said I dabble, and I kind of laughed a little bit because I said I don't dabble in nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I dive in. I
Okay.
dive in. I dive in deep, and I figure out quick: can I swim or can I not?
Mm.
If I can't swim, I'm gonna get out of there and I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure out the next play. Now, if I can swim, I'm gonna start swimming.
Yeah.
So 12 years ago in 2008, I started a cool, and that was a brand, Ti is the face of the brand, and that
Yeah.
was us really kind of course having success in the space of music, and me studying the business and us kind of doing what we felt like was a natural fit. During that time, there wasn't it wasn't really a lot of artist brands. The artist brand wave had died off for like Rockaware and Sean John
Very
and
true.
yeah, and people like that. So it had died off. So it was really kind of like a delicate time, whereas like most people didn't feel like that. People felt like that approach was played out. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
we ended up doing a deal and starting a brand. And once again, of course, went educated myself,
Hmm.
mentors, friends, information, talk to people. I went to talk to Dame Dash, Russell Simmons,
Okay.
Mark Echo, David John, like
Okay.
multiple people that were in the space to get advice, and we started our brand. We started our brand. We made some T-shirts. Tip was had an opportunity to be on the cover of Double XL magazine. We made T-shirts. He wore a T-shirt on the cover of the magazine, and
Hmm.
we created that visibility. And then we walked in people's offices and had meetings with people, and we already showed them, boom, the magazine that everyone would love to be on at this time.
Yeah.
My guy's here wearing a cool shirt, and a cool's not even really a brand; it's just a dream in a sense. So that was our foray into the business in the beginning in 2008.
Okay.
Um, and I dove in, and to
Hmm.
me, I like the clothing business. I like product development. Period is which I come to learn 12 years later. Right? Oh, I like developing products that make
Yeah.
sense to my culture, things that I know about. I don't want to go and develop like some shit in the plumbing industry or something like that that I don't know about. So we
Yeah.
talk about music, you talk about fashion, you talk about
Hmm.
like it's all the same thing in my mind. It's all the creative space, right? It's all like energy off of entertainment. And we talk
Okay.
about the culture of hip hop. We penetrate every market,
Very true.
every component of those, um, industries, So in 2000, right after I did a cool, I started another brand called Strivers Row, in 2009, which is still going as well. All of my brands are still going, actually, fortunately, and that was a denim brand. Started that different approach, different strategy, different price points, different category of business. And a few years after that, we we ended up totally not on purpose, but starting a brand Hustle Gang, which started from printing up some shirts, some sweatshirts for BET Hip Hop
Hmm.
Weekend, and seeding them to like DJs and our friends, tastemakers, and that led to people wanting to buy the shirt. Yo, how can I buy this shirt? And think,
Yeah.
well, I'm already in this business, so now I'm hearing like people coming to me, how can I buy this shirt, from people in the street to buyers of stores now, retail stores.
Wow.
So initially we BET Hip Hop was like in October, so it was like, okay, you know what, let's boom, for the holidays, let's have this website up, let's sell shirts.
Okay.
By the time I think November, right around Thanksgiving, by the time that hit, we did like a few $100,000 like in like 30 days,
Wow.
online of
Amazing.
shirts. Yeah, so that was dope. It was a dope success and it was good, but it was a lot of work too though.
Oh yeah, for sure. A
So
lot
yeah,
of sleepless
definitely.
nights
Yeah,
tracking
a
numbers.
lot of work, a lot of work. So fast forward, the retail stores that we were already selling, a cool in started asking me, and we started shipping, and then that established another brand, which is Hustle Gang. Is probably about 7, 8 years old now, So 12 years later, I created three different businesses. So when you talk about royalties, residual income, things of that nature, diversifying, that was just something that was always important to me,
Mm.
and that's just by studying, the history and looking at people that came before me for real and seeing, and mentorship, like you say, you read books and stuff, you understand you
Yeah.
need 7 revenue streams of income.
Yeah, no, for sure. And one thing I truly loved about everything that you mentioned was how you mentioned really how our culture really does transcend in all facets when it comes to entrepreneurship and making money. But most importantly, as well, you talked about influence, and I want to speak more about that. When thinking about influence and how you were able to really leverage your brand by, reaching out to people that you knew and sending products out so to kind of build momentum for the product that you had. Interestingly enough, I seen in an interview that you did recently with TechCrunch, you spoke about Heavy Sounds Lab and how you guys were truly transcending what it looked like for a record label, and you also mentioned something about social media, which I thought was really interesting. You mentioned Little Nas X, and you said that he was always online before he really blew up, and when you found out about him, you found out like when everyone else did, and everything kind of just happened all together with what he already created. So can you kind of speak about how you've been able to leverage social media and that platform for the things that you've created as well? Because it's been a new space,
Sure.
especially for us younger, I would say, entrepreneurs, and how we can leverage that for our businesses, products and ideas.
Man, you younger entrepreneurs, that seem like that should be all y'all know for real. That's the part that I don't understand. Like, I'm like, you guys grew up on this at this point,
Yeah.
it's people like myself that's always like, all right, I gotta, let me figure this out. Let me figure this out. Whereas to me, I feel like if you're like below, you're probably like below like 28 years old, I would think that that would be natural, honestly.
Hmm.
You but in saying that, I think that no matter what, there's always going to be something, and
Yeah.
you guys, like, as you grow and get older and live life,
Yeah.
you know that there's always a new something to figure out. We even think about like the evolution of social media. You think like um platforms, of course. You think there have been artists and businesses to come from like clearly YouTube, Tumblr, MySpace, Facebook,
Yeah. Vine, TikTok.
Instagram, Vine, TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So it's like each one you get on there and you figure it out. But I think more than anything, like it's challenging, because
Okay.
that's a gift within itself. We see people that are brand ambassadors or influencers that truly really made careers off of social media all the way.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person. I had a career
Okay.
before social media. Um, and I think that's a gift. And shout out to them. God bless them for that. Not
Mhm.
knocking them, but it's just not my reality.
Okay.
So for me, I just use social media as a tool. Each device, try to figure out the culture around the device, what works. Every device, every platform rather is different. What works on Twitter doesn't necessarily work on Instagram, right? What
Yep.
works on vice versa. TikTok don't work on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, just really kind of figuring out each device and understanding where your audience is at and really being consistent with using all platforms, and I feel like you got to read the information, read the data. Like, you do something and like, yo, we gotta look and really evaluate what our action was, right? Like, hey, I just did this post, and how did it respond? Did it or did it not? And oh shit, this one did respond. Let me kind of start doing some more in this vein. Like, I think that
See.
we just really got to read the data,
Mhm.
because these are just tools that we have out here, and that's the beauty in having all of these tools now. Going back to heavy sound, that's how I look at it with artists, right? Like, having all of these tools now versus before. Before
Yeah.
it was like all gut and local streets and all that stuff. Whereas now, like, yo, you could sit in the bed and just read the data and like, okay, like, this
Very
is my
true.
report card. Now I gotta listen to it and really apply some things, make some adjustments. Yep.
I really I liked how you mentioned about insights and data. I think that's very important, especially us who are kind of part of that Generation Z. and
Hmm.
figuring that out, like that's really important for us to kind of pull from to kind of create things.
Yeah.
And lastly, as we're wrapping up, I wanted to talk to you more about your entrepreneurship style. So I know that there are a lot of different ways how people, attack the different ventures that they're reaching out. And I know one thing that you're very passionate about is teams. And I know that you are blessed to have such a great team behind you, especially with Heavy Sounds Lab. Everyone is so amazing and so hands-on and very like great in each of the areas that they're really good at. So can you speak more about the things that you really attack with a team, or things that you realize that you solely just take care on your own, or what does that look like for you in that process, just for anyone who's trying to figure out if they need a team, or if they can do things solo when it comes to their entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. I think it starts with the person first. If you're an entrepreneur, you're setting up a new company, you're the founder of that company. You're the founder, you're the CEO of that company on day one. So I think that first and foremost, for you to believe in my vision, my dream, I need to at least do a lot of work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and this is just me. I'm just telling you how I move. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect, I can't expect to come to people and them to understand this new idea, this new vision,
Hmm.
because, you know, granted, it may change. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people can look at, me or someone who's constantly trying to do something in different ways, and it's funny because somebody said that. I heard somebody said something about me like, yo, he's all over the place. He's just doing, and like, I mean, like, yo, it can't be like that in a sense, right? He's all over the
Yeah.
place, but that's the energy, though. That's the energy of a serial entrepreneur, and that's the energy. And now you have to back that energy up. So
I
back
see.
to, yo, you need to dive in immediately. You
Hmm.
need to research. You need to understand, like, is this worth my time? Is this worth my efforts? You know what I'm saying? What is the big picture with whatever this idea is, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like really consume and educate yourself on all of the information before you really turn to your right or left and try to go and get somebody to ride on this idea with you. I feel like that's not fair. You got to put some skin in the game. You got to put some work in, and now when you bring somebody else in, of course, are you bringing them in on just on finances? Are you bringing them on, hey, ride with me? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how you bringing them in? But I
That
think
support.
that that's important. You know what I'm saying? But I think that first and foremost, you should do the work, do enough due diligence to know that this is something that I'm not going to ask you to ride with me, and a month later, nah, I'm good. Like, that's not cool. So I think as an entrepreneur, that's first and foremost, really kind of prepare, educate, put your plan on paper, and also create a sounding board. Create that team. That it could be friends, family, mentors, whatever that is. But that group of people that that, hey, you know what, I can go and I could bounce this idea off of them, and they're gonna give me some great feedback. They're gonna give me the truth. They're not gonna just year me to death. But they're
Yeah.
going to be open and transparent with me, and give me constructive criticism. So I think that those are like some key things to start. And I think that people also, once again, be super super honest with yourself, and ask yourself, why should someone pay me for this?
Yeah.
Like, so often I think that people truly for real think that they're ready or they should be paid for something, and they really don't really have legs to stand on in that category. Just because you
Wow.
decided to create this business doesn't mean that I should pay you for this business. As they say, before you're a professional, you have to put in 10,000 man hours before you can call yourself a professional. So that's something
Yeah.
else for people to think about for real. Like, am I a professional at this? Have I put in 10,000 hours working on this before I decided to call myself an entrepreneur?
I see. So it
Yeah,
seems like a lot of us need to clock in some hours then, because we
absolutely.
definitely want to make sure that we are up to that level and standard.
Listen,
It's
man, it's
always amazing. It's always amazing to be able to hear from you, Jason, because you're so well versed in so many different areas. And I think, especially as college students and as we are looking for that next step and what that brings, I would love to hear about any upcoming opportunities Heavy Sounds Live may have coming up, and what does that look like for students, especially in the virtual space that we all are in currently.
Yeah, we all in a virtual space. So that's the beautiful part, right? Anyone, no matter where you're at in the world, you can go to the website, heavysound.com. If you're an artist, hit the artist tab, and there's a run of questions designed to flow as if we're having a conversation with each other. The
Okay.
same thing though, right? If you want to future in the music business, if you want to get closer to the process, you want to network with other like-minded people, you want to hear more conversations like what we're having, right? From proven industry experts. um, if you want to just get game for real and mentorship and build relationships and network, hit the heavy crew tab and fill out that application, and really we're pretty much, on the heavy crew side,
Hmm.
it's all digital. It's a digital community, where we act as a digital street team, as a digital internship, as well, But no matter what, it's a great community. We have a Slack channel. It's hundreds of us on Slack, and having
I love Slack.
conversations and sharing information. You should get down with the heavy crew, man. Sharing information,
I'm already down with you guys. We
I'm sorry.
here. You know, I'm always promoting. I'm always there. I'm part of
That's,
the crew.
that's
I'm
right.
family now.
So that's what's up. And to me, like my biggest thought was right when as creating like heavy sound, I established relationships like from the ground up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? From, like internship level. I really created a lot of relationships that went on to become big. Some still to this day, some not. That's
Yeah.
cool. But I've done business and great things with people, and so many people who have come from that experience in the business. Most executives behind the scenes have come through internship programs.
Yeah.
So to me, just and just wanting to continue that, like you said, like doing Grand Hustle at a young age, something that's super dope is we had a lot of artists, but we had a lot of executives, probably more executives for real, damn near, to come out of Grand Hustle to go on and have their own stories and their own success and put on
Mm,
people up under them as well. You know what I mean? So it's like
yeah.
when you look at the family tree, I mean, it's a dope thing for real. And I just want to continue that energy, which is very authentic to, my beliefs.
Yes. And we really love the mission. And the next step is really great to be able to partner with you guys for this. And we just love how you guys are doing things digitally and really being able to keep the connection within your community. So for us as well, if there are any college students who are looking for opportunities, we assist with resumes, cover letters, and helping you find out like great organizations like Heavy Sounds Lab so you guys can tap in and get connected and get further in your professional goals. So, one more thing, Jason, before we end
Okay.
off this, I would just really love to hear anything that you have for the audience who's tuning in today, about how you're staying motivated, definitely during this time. We're not in normal times, especially with the pandemic that we're facing. Well, we're facing two pandemics, one just being Black in general in America, and also the global pandemic that we're facing. So, I would love to know how you're keeping yourself and your team motivated during this time, especially as students are, going back to school and things.
Sure. I think, like you said, it's tough. Of course, we all know it's not normal. So it is normal to, I feel like have funny energy at time.
Yeah.
At times, for me personally, I have my good days. I have my down days where I'm like, I'm tired. I'm used to traveling. I'm used to kind of, switching up the energy and being able to kind of course, just see people and engage and interact. So for me, I'm trying to stay, of course, healthy first and foremost, and also trying to stay productive, trying to keep, working on something, keep my mind on something to occupy my time so that, I can actually, get better. We don't know when this is going to be over with, but when this is going to be over with, I feel like, the real question is who's really kind of gotten better, and
Mm,
some a lot of people gonna fall off. Some people gonna maintain and be on the same shit, that
yeah.
they were on before. But some people gonna get better in different ways. So for me, I'll say like find yourself some activities, some hobbies, whatever that is, to keep yourself occupied and keep your energy right. Figure out ways to exercise, to kind of also get outside, get some fresh air, keep your energy right. But
Yeah.
no matter what, stay focused and know that the pandemic is real. I do know a few people that have passed, because of the pandemic. So for me, it's still real.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we love to hear it. Thank you so much, Jason, for all of the gems that you dropped today. I hope everyone was taking notes because Jason really touched on a lot of things, not only in music, just for anything in your mindset that you should have as an entrepreneur. And as Jason mentioned, definitely we are encouraging everyone who's tuning in and for our college students to keep your head up and continue clocking those hours as 10,000 hours so you can become a professional
Yep.
at that thing you love. And now with internships going virtual, you have even more of a connection that you can make for, maybe cities that you probably would have been counting out because you didn't live there. So definitely use that to your advantage.
Yep. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Deandra. Look forward to
No
talking to you
problem.
more. All right.
Okay, it was great talking to you, Jason. Thank you so much to the Heavy Sounds Lab team. And we are out. We are closing the
Absolutely.
college edition
Closing it out.
series.
Have a good weekend. Look, summertime's over now. All right.
Yeah, we're in the fall.
Yep.
So looking forward to it and more events like this to come from both of us.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
excited.
Okay.
Okay.
Look forward to it. We're here for you. All right.
All right. No problem. Bye,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks.